I don't score 1 point the entire summer.
Really?
Not one.
How old were you?
11, 10, 11.
And you're playing against other 10, 11-year-olds? Or you didn't score once?
Not one.
Were you in the game?
I was in the game.
How did you not score?
Because I was terrible.
Really?
Yeah. I remember crying about it, being upset about it. My father just gave me a hug and said, listen, whether you score 0 or score 60, I'm gonna love you no matter what.
Wow.
Now that is the most important thing that you can say to a child. Because from there, I was like, okay, that gives me all the confidence in the world to fail. I have the security there. But to hell with that, I'm scoring 60. Let's go.
Right.
And from there, I just went to work. I stayed with it. And I kept practicing. When I came back the next summer, I was a little bit better.
Yeah,
it wasn't much,
right.
but I scored.
And this is 12, 13.
12, 13. And then 14 came around, back half of 13, 14 years old. And then I was just killing everyone. And it happened in 2 years. And I wasn't expecting it to happen in 2 years, but it did, because what I had to do was work on the basics and the fundamentals. While they relied on their athleticism and their natural ability. And because I stick to the fundamentals, it just caught up to them.
So from 13, you're good, average still?
I was good. And then about the end of my right when I was turning 14, I became the best player in the state.
At 14?
At 14.
So from 12 to 14, you went from scoring 0 to being the best in the state of all ages.
Yeah, but it's simple. Like if you do the math on this, right? Like if you're thinking about how often kids are playing, right? I tell this to my daughter's team as well that I coach. It's a simple thing of math. If you want to be a great player, if you play every single day, 2-3 hours, every single day, over the course of a year, how much better are you getting? Most kids will play maybe, an hour and a half, 2 days a week.
Right.
Do the math on that.
It's not
going to get it done. It's not going to get it done, right? So if you're obsessively training 2-3 hours every single day over a year, over 2 years,
you're accelerating.
You make quantum leaps, man. Show up every single day, do the work.
And this guy is the best. You're the best player in the nation for anybody in high school.
It feels good. It's great confidence, but you have to keep moving on. Cause I know a lot of guys who've been #1 in the past years, and it just fell off a cliff. So I have to keep working hard, and hopefully everything will work out. I'll be #1 in the future.
You also said that you want to play against Michael Jordan before he retires. He's only got probably 3 or 4 more years left, so.
I know he's an old guy. He's an old guy. But nah, that'd be something that I love to do because, I watched him growing up. And Michael Jordan is somebody that I've always looked up to and I want to play against.
Confidence comes from preparation. When I prepare, I know what I'm capable of doing, I know what I'm comfortable doing, and I know what I'm not comfortable doing. So when the game's on the line, I'm not asking myself to do something that I haven't done thousands of times before. And so in those moments, if it looks like I'm ice cold or not nervous, it's because I've done it thousands of times before. And so it's one more time.
But I remember we were playing against the Lakers, Tom, and we were out here in LA. And, look, I always try to outwork people, right? That's just how I made my mark. So the game was at 7. I was like, you know what? I'm going to come to the Staples Center because we're playing. This is when the Lakers had Kobe and Shaq. Right. Okay, this is like the championship Lakers. I was like, I'm going to get there at 3 o'clock, and I want to make sure I make 400 made shots before I go back into the room, and then I sit in the sauna and I get ready for the game. So, get in the car, get to the gym, get there, and as I'm walking onto the court, who do I see? I see Kobe Bryant, already working out. And I'm like, okay, it's kind of cool. It's Kobe. What's up, Kobe? And so I put my sneakers on, and do you ever get lost in what you do where you end up like, wait, it's been an hour and a half? Like I'm here, I'm in it. So once I set my foot across that line, I started working out. And so I worked out for a good hour and a half. And when I came off, after I was done, I sat down, and of course I still hear the ball bouncing. I look down, I'm like, this guy's still working out? He was working out for it looks like he was in a dead sweat when I got here. Right. And he's still going. And it's not like his moves are nonchalant or lazy. He's doing game moves, right. I sit there and I unlace my shoes. I'm like, I want to see how long this goes. So I sit out there and watch another 25 minutes. And he got done. I was like, okay, I think I've seen enough. Go play, come back, get in the sauna, get ready for the game. That game, he drops 40 on us, wow. Okay? And after the game is over, I'm like, I have to ask this guy. Like, I have to understand, like, why he works like that.
Right.
So after the game is over, I'm like, hey, Kobe, like, why were you in the gym for so long? He's like, because I saw you come in, and I wanted you to know that it doesn't matter how hard you work, that I'm willing to work harder than you.
Wow.
And he's like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm not saying I dislike you as a person. You inspire me to be better.
Right.
And it was the first time I started to see this level of competitiveness where I said, I need to start doing more.
Right.
Wow.
My philosophy was a very simple one. And this is where I think film plays a big part of my life. Rudy was one of my favorite films growing up. Right? And if you guys haven't seen Rudy, I suggest you watch Rudy. After watching that film, I come to understand if I could work that hard every day, with being blessed with the physical tools that I have, what would my career be? And I made a promise to myself from that day that I was going to work that hard every single day so that when I do retire, I have no regrets. And that was the most important thing for me, is to leave no stone unturned, get better every single day. And if I lived that way, then over time, I'd have something that was beautiful. But that was my philosophy. It seems like a pretty simple one, but if you live your life to just get better every single day, do that for 20 years, what do you have? And if you got to get up every single morning and remind yourself how hard you need to work, you probably need to choose a different profession, because that shouldn't be there. I wake up in the morning excited to get to it. If I'm not training, I'm missing it. If I'm not watching a game of basketball, I miss it. There's no place I'd rather be. And if you have that feeling, then you're truly doing what God has put you on this earth to do.
Like you said, I'm going to get up at 4. Everybody's get up at 6. If everybody's going to get up at 4, I'm going to get up at 2.
Right.
Right. How do you develop that, or where do you learn that from?
Well, I think it's just it's just a matter of what's important to you, and what's important to you for whatever reason. I felt like I didn't feel good about myself if I wasn't doing everything I could to be the best version of myself. If I felt like I left anything on the table, it would eat away at me. I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror. Right? So the reason why I can retire now and be completely comfortable about it, because I know that I've done everything I could to be the best basketball player I could be. And so that's where it comes from for me. You can't leave any stone unturned. You're going to show up to play, and you're going to lollygag through this scrimmage, through this drill. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to let you know I beat you. I'm going to want you to reconsider your professional life choice. If your job is to try to be the best basketball player you can be, right? To do that, you have to practice, you have to train, right? You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. So if you get up at 10 in the morning, train for 2 hours, 12 to 2, you have to let your body recover. So you eat, recover, whatever. You get back out, you train, start training again at 6. Train from 6 to 8, right? And now you go home, you shower, you eat dinner, you go to bed, you wake up, you do it again, right? Those are 2 sessions. Right, now imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4, you go 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, right? You relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4, right? And so now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And by year 5 or 6, doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up because they're 5 years behind. Right? So it makes sense to get up and start your day early because you can get more work in.
Is that genetic, or is that something you ingrained and trained yourself?
No, it was
Who
just
taught you that?
For me, it was just common sense. Like I can if I start earlier, I can train more hours, and I know the other guys aren't doing it because I know what their training schedule is. Right? So I know if I do this consistently over time, the gap's just going to widen and widen and widen and widen and widen, and they won't be able to get that back. So to me, it was just common sense. I'm like thinking, how can I get an advantage? Oh, start earlier. Yeah, let's do that.
When did you start doing that?
Man, like high school. high school. My first class in high school was 7:45. I used to get to the gym around 5 a.m. and I'd play before school. You know, the idea is a very simple one. And, you know, the Mamba mentality simply means trying to be the best version of yourself. That's what the mentality means. It means every day, you know, you're trying to become better. And it's a constant quest. It's an infinite quest. So starting at the age of 2, when I first started playing the game, and on and on and on, I always ask questions. I always try to get better every single day, learn more.
What does losing feel like to you?
It's exciting.
Why is it exciting?
Because it means you have different ways to get better. There's certain things that you can figure out that you can take advantage of, right? Certain weaknesses that were exposed that you need to shore up, right? So it was exciting. I mean, it sucks to lose,
Right.
but at the same time, there are answers there if you just look at them.
Because you get the information from losing more than from winning, probably.
Yeah. I mean, the answers are there when you win too. You just have to look at them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a constant process. It's exciting when you win. It's exciting when you lose, because the process should be exactly the same, whether you win or you lose. As you go back and you look and you find things that you could have done better. You find things that you've done well that worked. You figure out how did they work, why did they work, how can you make them work again.
Yeah.
And but the hardest thing is to face that stuff. You know, the mistakes that you've made in that game, you have to do the hard stuff and watch that game and study that game to not make those mistakes over and over again just because you weren't brave enough to face it. You got to deal with it.
Face it.
Got to deal with it. Face it, learn from it.
And what was your routine and ritual like after every game? Would you watch almost every game over, or certain games?
All of them.
Every game you
Every
watch?
game. Every game.
The whole game
The
back?
whole game.
No
So,
way.
Yeah. We're watching the start of the game
Oh my
to
gosh.
the end of the game. And not like the TV feed. We're watching the in-arena feed. The layup line, the timeouts.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Rewinding, stopping, fast forward, rewinding, slow motion. Every little thing. Every game of that season.
That's one of the keys, you think? It's like if you're not watching film, whether it be as a speaker on stage or a performer and a musician, if you're not watching yourself back.
You gotta learn, man. I mean,
Yeah.
Beyonce's same thing.
Really?
After a performance, she's immediately on her laptop rewatching the performance.
No way.
Yes, seeing how to do things better. What could we have done differently? Right? I mean, it's an obsessiveness that comes along with it. You want things to be as perfect as they can be, understanding that nothing is ever perfect. But the challenge is try to get them as perfect as they can be. And what can you do? It's in your control. So control what you can. I can watch film all day long. It's going to help me
Get better.
Yes.
I played a lot of different sports, but nothing brought me the sense of peace and of escape, you know, that the game of basketball did. You know, the smell of like brand new sneakers and like the sound the ball makes when it hits the ground, and the ball going through the net, like all those things I love. And so the passion comes from that, because once you have that love, you just want to be a part of this thing all the time.
How do kids find that passion then?
Any experience, we try to put them in different things, try to expose them to as many things as possible, and then see if there's one thing that connects with them. You know, because if it does, you don't have to tell them to do it. You know, whether it's writing or painting or drawing, you know, if they have that passion, you don't have to tell them. They'll go off and do it because it's just fun. They'd rather do that than anything else.
What does that mean to be fearless? Why is that such an important part of the Mamba mentality?
Well, man, because I think the greatest fear that we face is ourselves. Actually, you know, I think it's not anything that's external or anything that's superficial. I think the greatest fear you face is yourself, because you know we all have dreams, and it's very scary sometimes to accept the dream that you have, and it's scarier still to say, okay, I want that, because you're afraid that if you put your heart and soul into it and you fail, then how are you going to feel about yourself, right? So being fearless means putting yourself out there and going for it, no matter what. Go for it, not for anybody else, but for yourself.
When you got to the league, you were 18. Did you have any fears?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I had fears that everybody was going to be right. I made a poor choice, poor decision.
Jump from
And
high
I
school
wasn't-
to the NBA.
and I wasn't going to amount to anything. So that was always in the back of my mind, for sure. way we approach the game, the same way we approach life. You do the right thing. You make the right play. Make the right play. And in life, it's the same thing. What do you feel in your heart is the right thing to do? And you do that. You know, it seems so simple, but sometimes the simplest things are the hardest things to do. Dance beautifully in the box that you are comfortable dancing in. So like everybody's box is different. My box was to be extremely ambitious within the sport of basketball. Your box is different than mine, right? Every kid here has their own box, but it doesn't mean that your box isn't as beautiful as mine, right? Everybody has their own. It's your job to try to perfect it and make it as beautiful of a canvas as you can make it. And if you have done that, then you have lived a successful life. You have lived with Mamba mentality. Right? So it doesn't mean you have to go out here and do all of these crazy things. I'll have to be like this person or that person. No, what are you comfortable being? What is it that you want to do with your life? And once you have that, then you try to live it to the best of your ability. Every kid, every person has the ability to put one foot in front of the other.
One step at a time.
Right? So like if you're saying, okay, I'm going to climb Mount Everest, you're at the bottom of the mountain and you look up and you're going, I'm not going to climb Mount Everest, right? But if you break it down into sections and you just one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, next thing you know, you're at the top of the mountain. I just looked at it as I want to be one of the best basketball players who've ever played. That's the end goal. Okay, how do I get there? How do I get there? And every decision I made in my life was centered around the process of helping me eventually get there. You know what I'm saying? So I had that purpose. And once I had that purpose, every decision that I made was centered around that purpose.
You look back upon it now, where do you see yourself? Did you do everything you wanted to do? Did you become the best basketball player?
What my goal is changed drastically as I got older. So like as a kid, I said, I want to be the best ever. Right? And now you go through your life and everything you do is try to be the best ever, be the best ever, be the best ever. And as you get older, you start understanding that those things are very superficial things. Right? And everybody has a different opinion about it. No matter what you do, I can win 20 championships. There's always an opinion on who's the best. Everybody has different opinions. And so I started really kind of understanding maybe that's not the important thing. Maybe the important thing is to, you know, how do we as a team grow? How do I help my teammates be better? So that was the first change for me. And then as I got older still, it became more about how are you inspiring others, right, to find themselves. That is the ultimate championship. So won 5 championships, that's great. Another team won a championship this year. Team's gonna win a championship next year. Those things come and they go. But what stays is how do you use your passion to inspire somebody else to create their passion? And then how can they pass that on to the next person? That is true success.
Do tempo, algo que produza a seu favor. Que é diferente de eu dizer para vocês trabalharem muito. Eu estou dizendo para vocês aproveitarem o tempo. Os romanos, através de Horácio, diziam carpe diem. Aproveitar o tempo não é trabalhar 16 horas por dia. Aproveitar o tempo é quando estiver trabalhando, trabalhe. E quando for dormir, durma. Quando for namorar, namore. Mas não tente trabalhar namorando e dormindo. Porque essas coisas vão mutuamente se neutralizar. Aproveitar o tempo é não responda ao e-mail, vendo o WhatsApp, escutando música, comendo e vendo um vídeo. Uma dessas coisas vai dar problema. Foco. Aproveitar o tempo é estar à frente dele. É preparar-se para ele. É antecipar-se estrategicamente a ele. E não pensar, usando aqui a metáfora da Gabriela Cravo e Canela, no determinismo, eu nasci assim, eu sou sempre assim. Gabriela, não. Aproveitar o tempo é entender que eu posso promover mudança. Essa mudança é essencial. Essa mudança existe. Essa mudança pode ocorrer se eu fizer de acordo com o planejamento. Da decisão. O que não quer dizer que eu seja onipotente, que eu penso que vai acontecer, que basta pensar positivo, isso é fantasia de autoajuda. Às vezes você vai pensar muito positivo e vai fracassar. Às vezes você vai tentar muito e vai fracassar. Não é isso que determina, mas é exatamente essa insistência, olhar além do horizonte. Olhar além da sua capacidade de ver o momento imediato. E para isso que exatamente vem a questão estratégica. A capacidade de pensar olhando além daquele momento. A capacidade de investir em metas de médio e longo prazo. E não viver como crianças ou animais. Como vive uma criança e um animal? Tenho vontade, fiz, quero dormir, durmo. Preciso ir ao banheiro, urino. Pronto, isso é uma criança ou um animal. Ser adulto é aprender que às vezes tem muita vontade de ir ao banheiro e não vai. Que não chegou a tempo, que não dá, que você vai tentar controlar-se o máximo possível para construir um sentido estratégico. De que às vezes você pode dormir mais, às vezes menos, às vezes tem que sacrificar o sono num período de provas. Mas também você sabe para não ficar sacrificando até que a própria máquina corporal entre em colapso. É esse equilíbrio estratégico que ele é fundamental. Ousar ou repetir. Depende de uma pergunta muito importante. O que eu ganho ousando? O que eu ganho aumentando a aposta? O que eu ganho mudando de carreira? O que eu ganho fazendo um novo curso? O que eu ganho estudando uma outra língua? Ah, o que o professor me diz está no Google. Ótimo. Mas transforme isso em atitude, em habilidade. É um pouquinho mais complexo do que isso. Custo de tudo. Custo absolutamente de tudo. Esforço. Esforço contínuo. Isso precisa ser redescoberto. Os franceses chamam de goût de l'effort, o gosto do esforço. o gosto de fazer as coisas. Saber que se eu começar a tocar violão hoje vai ser um entusiasmo. Em 2 a 3 aulas você vai estar tocando o dó e o sol 7. E vai tocar e bota aqui o meu pezinho feliz. Em 2 a 3 aulas você está tocando uma marchinha. E fica falando, ótimo. Aí surge a pestana, aí surge a dor no dedo, segura a corda, começa a doer. Começa a dar o efeito da etapa seguinte. Aí as pessoas desistem. Chegou a hora do esforço. Ah, coloca a menina no balé, ela põe o tutu, põe a sapatilha, faz pra mãe, faz pra ela. Que amor. 4ª aula, o pé tá doendo. Ah, não tem jeito pro balé. Você tem vagabundagem, você tem a preguiça. Pra saber se tem jeito ao balé, estude uns 10, 12 anos, depois você vê que você tem jeito. Mas você está enfrentando o primeiro esforço, a primeira dor com a desistência. Aí não vai conseguir nada. Não vai dançar absolutamente nada, não vai tocar nada, não vai aprender nada. Porque é o primeiro resultado parece simpático. Tudo aquilo que é uma habilidade, tudo aquilo que é um conhecimento, tudo aquilo que é uma nova atitude precisa de prática. Muita prática, longa prática. Quero reeducar o corpo, quero ser mais alongado, quero ser mais musculoso, quero ser mais definido. Prática. Não é uma tarde na academia. Aí nunca consigo me dedicar à academia, então hoje vou passar tarde na academia. Resultado, lesão, dor, cãibra. É ir à academia com regularidade daqui até o fim. E parou, começa a regredir. Isso é o aprendizado permanente. Prática, insistência, fez hoje, faz amanhã e faz de novo. E param de desculpas. Nossa, semana eu tenho que fazer muita coisa. Então, não posso. Prática aliada à constância. Além da prática, constância, não apenas praticar, mas praticar repetidas vezes, insistir, até criar um novo hábito, algo que pode durar às vezes semanas, meses, às vezes anos, mas criando um novo hábito você passa a fazer. Tem um momento que o estudo se torna um hábito, que a academia, a atividade física se torna um hábito, correr se torna um hábito, tocar um instrumento se torna um hábito. Esse momento precisa ser atingido. E aí quando se torna um hábito, não é mais um esforço, você acorda automaticamente. Quem aqui acorda todos os dias na mesma hora, vai perceber depois de uns anos que não precisa mais de despertador. O corpo responde, acordando você até sábado e domingo, naquela mesma hora, porque o corpo responde a hábitos. Você tem até raiva, mas chega domingo, acorda, e com a idade vocês vão ver que não consegue mais dormir de novo. Depois vão lá, vamos trabalhar, você tem que explicar, não hoje, dizer não, ele vai insistir. Constância. Constância é fundamental para tudo isso. Menos reclamação e mais ação. Menos eu estou cansado, não deu, hoje não, está chovendo, está frio, está longe, pé está doendo. Menos reclamação e mais ação. Ignorem mais as suas desculpas. Ignorem mais desculpas e aprendam. Insistam. Hábito, constância. Ah, mas eu nunca fui assim. Quer começar a ser? Está feliz até o momento com o que conseguiu? Está feliz com sua renda, seu corpo, sua família, seu conhecimento? Então, siga. Quer crescer? Totalmente diferente. É para isso que eu preciso pensar que eu sou sócio majoritário da minha própria vida. Então, ao gerenciar um esforço de aprendizado contínuo, ao gerenciar uma mudança desse porte, é uma decisão. É uma decisão importante, é uma decisão permanente, é uma decisão que começa hoje, continua amanhã, insiste, aí precisa na outra semana dar um incentivo, depois precisa encontrar amigos no mesmo tipo de vibração de mudança aí, fazerem um grupo de auto-apoio, faz um grupo de força, colega, vai, mais um livro, e um empurrando o outro, porque o cérebro vai reagir. Não é o seu inimigo, não é sua amiga invejosa, seu amigo invejoso. Quem vai lhe atrapalhar é o seu cérebro. É o único inimigo que você tem. Amigo dá para bloquear, cérebro não dá para bloquear. Falso amigo, deleta. Pessoa ligando chata, não atende. Visita inconveniente, se finge de ausente em casa. O cérebro não tem um botão de off. Ele vai ficando dizendo para você, para quê? Você já conseguiu, não precisa mais. Você já chegou lá, não é importante, não vá. Tudo isso é muito importante. E tudo que sintetiza através do símbolo do infinito. É exatamente essa capacidade de, ao longo de toda a vida, você continuar sendo alguém que aprende. Não existe mais a figura de quem aprendeu. Só existe a figura de quem está aprendendo. Não existe mais a figura da pessoa acabada, só aquela que está se construindo. Não existe mais a figura do diploma, mas de um degrau que o diploma representa para ter acesso a outros, dos desafios, de áreas novas, de áreas que você sai da sua área de conforto. Isso exatamente é esse desafio dos 3 L's, de viver uma vida inteira a serviço do aprendizado.
So where did you get the killer instinct from as a basketball player? Because for me, I used to go on the Army base, and being the big kid, I used to have to play with the big guys. They used to throw me around and beat me up. Where did you get your killer instinct from?
Well, yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with isolation. Growing up over there and being the only African-American kid. Not being able to speak the language, I gravitated towards the game. And in that game, you find a lot of, you find solace in the game. And then when you play with kids that might not accept you because you're an outsider, but yet when we come to play the game, that's my chance to get vengeance on them for not accepting me. And that's where it kind of started developing. And throughout the course of my life, it's always been that. It's always been the outsider and having to come in and prove, or to seek some sort of vengeance when I play.
That I couldn't do.
Yeah.
You go out to a certain club as a team, you go out to a bar as a team, I can't go. Like, I legally can't go.
Sound like us.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So it was hard, and I think that actually I had nothing to do. So what am I going to do? I'm going to play basketball. I'm going to study basketball. Yeah. So I think that's where, now that I think about it, some of my behavior originated from. And so I got into that habit. So even when I became, legal, I still wasn't going and hanging out with the team because I was so conditioned to focus on one thing and one thing only.
So speaking on that, I've talked to my boys and everybody about this. I played in LA for 4 years. I've never seen you anywhere other than the Staples Center. Yeah. Like, literally, like, I don't know how you do it, how it happens. I'm like, and I've asked some of my team, like, yo, you ever see, like, nah, I ain't never, how? Like you the black Bruce Wayne, you take helicopters to the joint.
You just appeared.
Like how did that happen?
Well, I was obsessive, bro. I was really obsessive.
We split apart. Were you trying to get more championships than me?
Oh, absolutely.
You were?
Absolutely. And I knew you were going to get one. I knew you were going to get one because of the energy, going into Miami and D-Wade and everything that was there. I knew you were going to get that one. So I knew I had to get at least 2 or 3.
And the Miami Heat are champions of the basketball world!
I wanted you to get that because I needed that. I wanted that. Like, I wanted people to say, see, this is what they're missing here. This is what they gave up for, right? Kobe should have been the one to go. Now he's in Miami. I needed that. I wanted that. I wanted everybody to hate me. I wanted to fuel off of that and just come back with so much anger and so much vengeance. So I wanted that. So when you won, right after you won, I went out to the track and I ran. And I did my conditioning, I did my drills. I woke up the next morning, I hit my weights, I did my 1,000 shots, I did everything humanly possible to get myself ready. But I needed it. I was like, all right, yeah, good.
I needed it too.
English teachers at Lower Merion named Mr. Fisk. He had a great quote that said, "Rest at the end, not in the middle." And that's something I always live by. I'm not going to rest. I'm going to keep on pushing now. There are a lot of answers that I don't have, even questions that I don't have. But I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going, and I'll figure these things out as we go, right? And you just continue to build that way. So I try to live by that all the time.
Rest at the end.
Rest at the end.
What's the